Hello again, folks. Brains here. Welcome to another episode of Century 21 Tech Talk. In this briefing, we're going to be discussing the technical specifications of Thunderbird 4. Thunderbird 4 is the underwater submersible used by international rescue. It is piloted by aquanaut Gordon Tracy, the second youngest of the Tracy brothers. Gordon, like his brothers, is a trained astronaut, but unlike the other Tracy boys, he completed his space training after international rescue was formed. While his brothers looked to the stars in their formative years, Gordon became fascinated with the ocean. Serving with both the submarine service and later the World Aquanaut Security Patrol, Gordon furthered his skills as an aquanaut at every opportunity. However, it was his love of the ocean that nearly cost Gordon his life when an experimental hydrofoil he was testing crashed at high speed. It was during Gordon's long recovery that Mr. Tracy acquired the Silver Fin, a prototype craft Gordon had been testing during his time with the Wasp. The Silver Fin was retired from trials and covertly adapted deep within a Tracy aerospace facility. Under the supervision of myself and later Gordon, when he was fully recovered, the modifications were completed, and the craft that had once been the Silver Fin was now Thunderbird 4. Thunderbird 4 is only 30 feet long, making it the smallest of the 5 main Thunderbird craft. However, what it lacks in size, it more than makes up for in speed and maneuverability. The submarine can cruise on the surface of the ocean at 40 knots, and while traveling below the surface, it can attain speeds of 160 knots and reach depths of almost 30,000 feet. Thunderbird 4 is usually carried to the danger zone aboard Pod 4, one of the 6 pods carried by Thunderbird 2. Gordon accesses Thunderbird 2 via the passenger elevator concealed in the Tracy Island villa and enters the huge transport craft while Virgil is completing pre-flight checks. When the freighter ship reaches the danger zone, Virgil will release the pod and, cushioned by a series of thrusters, it drops into the water below. When the pod comes to rest, Gordon releases the flap and engages the horizontal motors on the launch platform, moving it into position. He then fires the motors, and Thunderbird 4 shoots down the ramp and into the sea. In the event that Thunderbird 2 is out of action, Thunderbird 4 can be launched directly from Tracy Island. Gordon enters the pod and boards Thunderbird 4. He then uses the emergency hover jets to ease the craft out of the pod to the small door in the cliff face used by the Tracy family's private aircraft. Guiding the submersible along the runway, Gordon completes a series of checks and readies the craft for sea operations, lowers the end of the island's landing stage, and Thunderbird 4 slips down into the water. The Thunderbird 4 is equipped with an array of rescue gear that surpasses the equipment of vessels many times its size. The bulk of the rescue equipment is located in the bow of the craft, behind the high-powered light trough. It's very useful for locating objects in murky waters. A pair of hydraulic rams extend from the outermost equipment tubes and can be used to dislodge stricken vessels. The rams incorporate electromagnets, allowing vessels or debris to be hauled clear if direct contact is possible. When a more delicate approach is required, a precision laser cutter enables Gordon to cut through almost any kind of debris obstructing the rescue effort. If Gordon locates a vessel losing oxygen, he will fire the long-range air drill, a magnetic drill head trailing an air hose. Once the drill has penetrated the hull of the target vessel, Gordon activates the air supply to buy time for the occupants to be rescued. This remarkable equipment can also be fitted with a paralyzer nerve gas supply for use when the occupants of another vessel are less than friendly. Thunderbird 4 carries a battery of variable yield missiles, mainly used for demolition purposes, although they work equally well when deployed in self-defense. Many of you may wonder how Thunderbird 4 is retrieved after a mission has been completed. Well, it's really quite simple. First, Gordon remotely extends the launch ramp from the pod so that it rests in the water. Next, he maneuvers Thunderbird 4 into position just above the ramp, facing forward. He then gently lowers the craft onto the ramp, where it is clamped in place, and the ramp is retracted. Finally, he closes the pod flap, and Thunderbird 2 descends to the surface of the water, clamps the pod into position, and performs a vertical launch before returning to International Rescue Headquarters. And that's just about all there is to know about Thunderbird 4. Hey, what do you know? We made it to the end of this briefing without being interrupted. Oh, I just had to say it, didn't I? See you around, folks. Bye-bye.